today we have the pleasure and the honor to have Professor Romulo Pinhero, who is an associate professor at the University of Agder in Norway. Today he was more than kind to join us in the MARIHE program and to share some of his knowledge related to current trends in higher education, current issues, and some of topics such as the third mission of institutions of higher education, the advent of entrepreneurial universities, so on and so forth. So Professor Romulo, thank you so much for being with us in the program. The first question that we would like to address is, how would you define entrepreneurial universities in the European context? And what actions are currently in place to promote entrepreneurial initiatives in the European area?
Well, it's a good question, and I think, as you heard this week, there isn't one definition that everyone agrees upon, and indeed the entrepreneurial label comes a lot from the US, where universities are more engaged, are more open to society. I would say to be an entrepreneurial university is to be a responsive university. It's a university that is sensing the environment and responding accordingly, adopting its strategies, its policies, its structures. I don't think it's only about the money. There's a lot of people using the concept of entrepreneurialism in higher education to mean we need more resources, and that it's also true, but I think it's about engaging closely with society. It's about changing, revitalizing the academic core, changing or adapting values to the current realities, right? We live in a world full of challenges, and universities as knowledge institutions, are expected to provide a contribution. So then the second part of your question, if I recall, was about what is being done. We have the classic studies from Clark back to the late 90s about these type of institutions who are a bit different than the others, and they have a strong steering core. They are less dependent on public funding. Their academics seem to have a different ethos and so on. So we have had quite a bit of time in the last couple of years to study these, and Clark's work has been a bit criticized of being a bit of a caricature because not all universities are like his case studies. But also there's been more recent work, for example, by Bjornsten Sacker and Mats Banner in the Nordic countries suggesting universities are entrepreneurial because they are doomed to be entrepreneurial. If not, they don't survive. So there's the issue of whether you are entrepreneurial because you have to, or whether it's part of your DNA. I think it's still in the infancy. We know quite little. I myself been involved also with Bjornsten Sacker studying the Aarhus case, a university in Denmark that changed quite radically, adopted a new hybrid structure, had a very aggressive merger plan, a very sort of strategic rector. And when we wrote the paper, was quite funny, it was not a long time ago, we really didn't know much about the outcomes, and it seems the last 2 years there's been a lot of internal reactions to the entrepreneurialism that perhaps the previous central administration that had a change went too far. So perhaps we're starting to learn some lessons that, as we discussed this week, universities change slowly, incrementally, as Burton Clark often suggests, and that to become entrepreneurial, takes time, and the issue is whether it's a means to an end or it's the end in itself, right? And I think you have two perspectives, right? Those where you become entrepreneurial because then you become more engaged in university, you become less dependent on the government, more dynamic, more relevant to society, so it's a means to an end. But there is a danger that the whole entrepreneurial mantra becomes like the new public management, where it becomes an end in itself, right? And then we might throw out the baby with the bathwater, as I suggested this week.